Hey, boys and girls, have you ever been stung by a bee? I have too, and you're probably mad at that bee for stinging you, but I'm going to guess that you've probably more likely been stung by a wasp. I think I've been stung by a wasp a lot of times. Uh, but it's really important that you know that even though you got stung by the bee, they have a very important job to do. See now, Jeffrey's friend Bernard Bee, they hang out all the time, and Jeffrey is not afraid of Bernard because he knows just how important Bernard Bee's job is. Without bees, a lot of our food, the food that we eat right now, would not even exist. Bees are kind of like little delivery trucks. Yeah, that's what they're like. They go from plant to plant. See, what happens is each of these little plants have pollen on them, and when they go from this plant to this one, some of that pollen gets stuck to their fuzzy legs, and then they carry it over here, and some of it gets rubbed off and dropped onto the next plant, and that's called pollination. Pollination, cool word, huh? And then that makes bees called pollinators. So the bees are pollinators, and the process is called pollination. Now, without bees and without pollination, we wouldn't have any seeds or fruit growing on the plants because the seeds and fruit need pollination in order to be created. Bees collect pollen also on purpose. So they go, yeah, they're doing a job with themselves in mind too. What they're doing is they get that pollen and they collect it in their little legs, and then they take it home and they feed the larvae of the bees. So that's an important job for the bee. They're feeding their families. Plants sometimes accidentally get pollinated by other animals too. Like, for example, birds and butterflies and bats and ants. They all are also known as pollinators because they crawl all over the plant, and some of that pollen gets stuck on them, and then they carry it on to the next plant. Animals and insects are responsible for pollinating almost all of the flowering plants. In fact, more than a third of all the food crops in the entire world are pollinated by bees. And these plants would not survive, like apples, almonds, watermelons, pumpkins, if they were not pollinated by bees. The bees are doing all the work. They have their own purpose too, though. But here's a really serious problem, and Bernard might want to plug his ears for this one. The honeybees are disappearing. Scientists don't know exactly why they're disappearing. They think maybe their habitats are being destroyed so that we can build more buildings. They think that the pesticides that farmers are using might be harming the bees. But scientists also think that bees are just getting lost. Oh, there you are. I found you. You're not lost. Did you think you were lost? Well, get lost, bee. I don't want to get stung by you. Did you learn a lot about bees? Boy, I sure did. Ready for some questions? You are going to number to 4 today, so I'll give you a moment. Lesson number 12, number to 4. It's about why plants need bees. Okay. Question number 1. Which of the following crops do bees pollinate? A, almond, B, apple, C, watermelon, or D, all of these above? Number 2. What happens during pollination? A, bees use pollen to feed their larvae. B, pollen is transferred from one flower to another. C, plants produce seeds and fruit. D, bees make honey. Number 3, according to the article, which of the following animals are also pollinators? A, bats. B, mosquitoes. C, squirrels. Or D, all of these above. Number 4, why are honeybees disappearing? A, harmful insects are killing them. B, farmers have found better ways to pollinate crops. C, their hives are being destroyed. Or D, scientists aren't really sure about that one. All right, you want to look at yesterday's answers now? All right, that was about the oldest living thing, and I sure hope you didn't say it was Miss Julian, because you would get it wrong. Okay, for question number 1, what is the oldest living thing on Earth? It is B, a bristlecone pine tree, not Miss Julian or Jeffrey or Bernard. None of us are the oldest. Okay, number 2, how can scientists tell how old a tree is? They count the rings inside of the trunk. Letter C. Number 3, which of the following helps bristlecone pines survive? Now, I thought this was a tricky question. The answer was B, because they grow very slowly. That was the answer. And number 4, what can a tree's rings tell scientists? The answer was all of these above. All right, letter D. All right, scientists, until we meet again, have a good day.